Hello, Serge here from the backyard driving range. All right, today I want to talk about a problem I've been having, and it involves my setup. So if it involves my setup and I'm having a problem, that means therefore I've been having a problem swinging a golf club, right? Because the setup determines the motion. So I'm going to explain what's been going on with me for a while, and just to let you know that it's not just you that has problems. I mean, the tour players have them. I got them. We'll always have them. Nothing ever stays exactly the same. Little things are going to tweak into your setup or into your swing that all of a sudden you wonder, where did I get this little hitch, or what happened? Ultimately, always start with alignment, because alignment can mess the whole system up, right? Aim wrong, make a great swing, you're going to hit it to a wrong place, but it's actually the wrong place that you intended, but not by your bad alignment. So always start with alignment. I was having problems, and what was happening was I knew there was an issue because my back was tightening up on me all the time, from just above the waist up in this area here. It was tightening up on me a lot, and even down here in my legs. And I'd hit some pretty good shots. Every now and then I'd hit something that was way out of normal for me, and was ugly for my what I call good and bad. But overall, I was hitting a lot of thin shots, a little towards the heel, and staying in play, and normally they were quite short. So my distance was lacking, my solidness of contact wasn't anywhere near where it should be, and conversely, my greens and reg were down. And scores weren't bad, but they weren't as good as they should have been by any means. So again, I close my eyes and I start doing a brain scan of my body as it's moving, all right? Then I decided one day, I said, well, let me do a brain scan of my setup. So I close my eyes and I just kind of stand up here, my eyes closed, and I just go back down to the ground. And I noticed that I was tending to do what? I was kind of going down, and I have super long arms for my height. So I've always had a tendency to go down and out with my arms. So I noticed that I was going back down and out. So I'm bending down, and then I make my arms go that way instead of just keeping them down. So that was one of the bad ones. And so right away, as soon as you're doing that and going that way, you're stretching all these muscles up a little bit, which is going to put tension. Start stretching the muscles out, and then they got to tighten up to help balance, because my arms are actually a little too wide, and my swing could be coming a little bit on a flatter plane. Still quite vertical, but flatter than what it should have been. And I keep going through all of these things, and I finally realized that what the biggest part of the problem was that I wasn't in a neutral setup anymore. Now, neutral involves basically the alignment of your body up and down. Now, by that, I mean two things. Even when I get into preloaded heavy right, and I'm back here a little bit, and we have that little bow in the body, and I'm behind it, everything is still square in terms of my toes, my knees, my hips, and my shoulders. But what's happened to me was I wasn't square. From this view, this is relatively square, all right? But what was happening to me was I was getting here, my right side, my right shoulder, and my hip were getting out a little bit open of what my feet are. Okay? So now I'm out of balance. So I've titled this this one segment, Balance Setup, Finding Neutral. Neutral means if I'm like this, I think it's obvious I'm not neutral, right? You can see that my right leg and hip are flopping out that way. If I go that way, that's not neutral. Neutral is everything just staying there, and see, if I'm making a big turn, that's fine. That my hip's turning. But if I've already made my turn before because I've let my hip flop back, or I let my hip flop out, it's going to mess everything up. And usually what's going to happen is if your hip flops out, it's going to affect your shoulders. It won't affect your feet if your feet are already down when you finally make that adjustment, right? It'll just be your shoulders and your hips that'll be out. But that's a case of now you got half of you going one way, and you got half of you going another way. so that you're crisscrossing there, or as we could say, X'd out. You've X'd yourself out. And I was X'ing myself out because I was consistently a little bit, just enough where I got out. And as you can see from here, and now, see, the club's starting outside the line. And that's when I started checking out the club going, you know, seeing that the club's going outside and I had to work harder to get it in, then I knew something was out. Now you say, how can I go that long without figuring it out? Well, sometimes I might, even if I go play every day, sometimes I'm only sneaking in 3 holes or 6 holes or whatever. And then again, I'm always thinking about things in my mind and using myself to test things when I've given a lesson, I've seen a problem, and I'm thinking about things. I use myself to test, so that can throw me off too. But once the back started getting tight, and I was about probably close to a month where I couldn't get it loosened up, and now I'm back and I'm fairly loose and everything's well, but I'm finding neutral. And many times when I get over the ball, I'm going to get in here and I'm going to stand up a little bit and I'm going to go like this and I'm going to go like that and find neutral and then go back down. I always find neutral, and then I go back and then I adjust the ball again. So I pick the club up and I do my test. See, that's almost like I've already turned in the backswing. I find it already turned in a forward swing. I find neutral, and that's where I'm going to make sure I stay with the slight tilt, preloaded heavy right to swing, have the right setup to swing. Because we stop behind the ball, preloaded heavy right, we're behind the ball at impact, head slightly back, and then we hit it and pop tart to a T finish with a recoil and relax. Okay? So if you've been having a problem, and one of the big keys is this, if you look down and you see your back arm higher than your front arm, you can pretty much just guarantee yourself that you're not in neutral. So find neutral for that balanced setup. Okay? That's it for today, and I'll be talking with you all again soon. Oh yeah, and don't remember, the setup determines the motion, so we want that balanced, neutral setup. That's it for today, and I'll be speaking with you all again soon.